Nicodemus here. I wanted to speak on forgiveness on today's episode. And there was a Bible quote that came up, and it was, "Forgive, and you will be forgiven." Luke 6:37. And the ACIM quote that I wanted to go over was, "Forgiveness is the key to happiness." Can you go more into that?
Sure. The Luke quote, "Forgive and you will be forgiven," is actually very interesting because there's a very simple in what it says, and there's a distinction in A Course in Miracles that is what you give, you receive, right? So in the act of giving, anything that we give out to the world, that's why when we give attack, we receive attack, when we feel attack. I think it was Florence Scovel Shinn wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It, and in the 1920s, she says, it's life is a life of boomerang. So what you put out, you get back. That's a really important point about Luke. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Because in the act of forgiving, we are then granted the forgiveness ourselves. That's a key teaching that Jesus has in A Course in Miracles as well. And in Lesson 121, forgiveness is the key to happiness. Well, why? In Luke, forgive and you will be forgiven. In that, it also has the key in there as well, because why am I forgiven? It's in that expression of forgiveness to others, expression of forgiveness to the world, the granting of that. What true forgiveness is we realize that we're all similar. We're all the same in the eyes of God, in that we are the creation of the Creator. And have we all made errors and mistakes? Absolutely. But what we're saying is that I don't want to imprison a brother or sister anymore, or any part of creation, through my attack thoughts, because then I'm attacked. And that's why. Why? Because what I give, I receive. There's a line in the Course that says, you can't attack any part of creation and escape the attack yourself. It's impossible to do. So forgive and you will be forgiven. So it's such a key point. And if you look at Jesus' teaching in the Bible, in the New Testament, I mean, I always say on the channel, I'm not a Bible scholar, but growing up, I used to spend a lot of time reading, like, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, because I was always very fascinated with what Jesus was saying. The way that Jesus is teaching us, and turning the other cheek. Really, if you look at Jesus' gospel, it's the gospel of love. I mean, what is he saying? He's saying, don't place no other gods before God. So to be humble in the face of God, to surrender to God as the cardinal or one of the top commandments, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before God, and love your neighbor as yourself. So forgive and you will be forgiven. So in that, the key, it also, love your neighbor as yourself, which is in the Bible, basically points to for us is that we find heaven and we find healing together, and that with each other, through forgiveness of each other, through our relationships, that we ultimately find our own healing and what we're looking for. Because why? I can express forgiveness in relation with you and learn a deeper forgiveness within myself and about myself. So when I forgive you, I'm also forgiven. And this idea that we're forgiving, and what is forgiveness? Well, forgiveness is to give forth all the hurt, basically to give forth the doctrine and the teaching of the ego and that thought system. So what is forgiveness? There's a line in the Course that says, every moment you and I are choosing between a grievance and a miracle. So a grievance is basically saying, like, what you did or they did or it did to me was not right, it was not fair, it should have been different. And then obviously I understand that there's things in the world that are not inherently, fair or right. Like, people might experience those things, but we're very much talking about our perspective, how we view the things, because we cannot be affected. I don't care if somebody comes up to you and does something that's unfair or to you, whatever it is, you can only be affected by your thoughts. So forgiveness basically says is, I will not attack you, because I can only be attacked by my own thoughts. And if I attack you, then I am attacked as well. That's why if I forgive you, I am forgiven. So think about that in your life and in your relationships, and see if you could catch yourself every day in and day out, because we have attack thoughts all the time. And I want to make a distinction for you from the Course, that is, there are no small upsets. All upsets are equally disturbing to my peace of mind. So it's not like, well, that guy cut me off in traffic and I, flipped him the bird and I was pissed and I was, yelling in the car. So, like, yeah, that's not that big of an upset. It went away. But if I lost my job, that upset's a big one. He says in the courses, there are no small upsets. All upsets are equally disturbing to my peace of mind. So what you want to start to do is look for upsets, whether they're small, whether they're big, with people, with situations, and the upset itself is what needs to be forgiven ultimately. That's why in any situation where someone else is involved, if I grant them forgiveness, I also am forgiven, because what I'm doing is I'm not holding an attack against them. I'm not holding a grievance against them. So I am then let go of or freed of all of the grievances that of against myself, and that I haven't been perfect in the errors that I've made. And we basically could start to look with love on our brothers and sisters. And again, I know I said a few videos ago that it doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries, and it doesn't mean that we hang out with everyone and everyone's coming over for dinner or anything like that. But it does mean that we act with kindness in the world. And when I say kind, it doesn't mean we're a pushover or a doormat, not like that. But we treat everyone as though what I'm looking at is the Christ. I have the possibility of seeing that. That's really ultimately Jesus' teaching, and that we get to all aspire to and really practice, so we can learn forgiveness deeper and deeper, and know that it's a two-way street, that when I grant forgiveness, that forgiveness is also granted to me. So practice in your relationship, see where there's any grievances, where there's any upsets, and forgive them, give them over the Holy Spirit, and just say, Holy Spirit, show me love. Show me what peace looks like here in this relationship. And that's how we live the forgiveness that Jesus was ultimately, I would say, one of the most profound teachers of it that we've ever seen in this form, in this place. So